What is up? Welcome to the Next Guy Up podcast. It is Monday morning if you're listening to this, and we had an awesome weekend of football. We had some college stuff go down, a huge matchup in Happy Valley where, surprising to absolutely no one, Penn State goes down. We will discuss it. We had some other big matchups around the country. We had Clemson going down. Tins is making a choking motion. Turns out, if you don't play good teams, it's easy to win sometimes. I'm looking at you, Miami, who eked out another win in the fourth quarter.
Out.
I don't want to hear.
Covered minus 21.
We're down by 11 in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Elsewhere around the league, we had some big matchups in the SEC. Texas A&M goes down to South Carolina.
Gets whooped.
Illinois goes down to Minnesota.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. That was a weird game.
I think Minnesota was favorite.
Minnesota, yeah, I remember because
Minnesota's won like 5 straight. What the heck is happening? Minnesota's
like
all of a sudden.
On Friday's episode. I was like, I don't know. I kind of like the lines that didn't make sense to me. Texas A&M being a small favorite.
There you go. That one checked out.
Illinois being an underdog at home.
Checked out.
And I think it was Arkansas. I think I liked Arkansas. Yeah, they were like plus 7. And all 3 games were bad. Like the bookmakers, they cleaned up.
We're coming to the time in the season where the bookmakers are getting better and better. And betting college is harder and harder the further on you go in the season because the lines get better and better.
Yeah, call me Mr. 3-3, second week in a row.
It's so much harder to find those like crazy lines and stuff because it's harder to find surprises out there. Ole Miss to have a big win over Arkansas. We just mentioned it. Florida, Frisky.
They were until Lagway
kept it
got
close
hurt.
till the end. Lagway goes down. Some chaos in the Big 12. We've got a lot to talk about today. Lot of matchups. I think it may be helpful just to kind of frame up some of our talk here. We'll get to some big time games, but I think if we start looking at our playoff potential, it may help us talk about some of these matchups.
Agreed.
So let's start here. Let's start with the Big Ten because things are a little interesting in the Big Ten. We have an elimination to announce. I feel it's like the Hunger Games when they shoot the cannons when people die. This is that. So say your goodbyes to Illinois' playoff chances. Illinois, it was good to see you. Great season. You're out.
What district are they? Are they District 12 type of school?
Nah, they're the District 6. They're like around the middle. I feel like mid. So this leaves the most top heavy conference by far. We've got 4 teams at the top of the Big Ten. And the problem is that they're splitting all of these games, and so it's just when you only have 4 teams at the top and not all of them play each other, schedules just get really kind of soft in a lot of these situations. So let's just go through them real fast. Oregon beats Michigan pretty easily. Penn State goes down to Ohio State, but that's just their first loss, and the rest of their schedule is not very competitive. Indiana wins again. I mean, this is an Indiana team. Somehow pulled just one of the easiest Big Ten schedules possible, but they're winning.
They do have Ohio State.
They have Ohio State.
Michigan State is like a feisty team to an extent, but I think this Indiana team is just legit. And Rourke being back, I kind of thought he was going to miss. I bet if you're in the Discord, you saw that I took Michigan State, and I kind of talked about it a little bit on Friday where I thought Michigan State could put up some points, and it could be a dangerous spot for Indiana. Look ahead spot with Ohio State next week. Rourke, I didn't think was going to play. He had the nail bed surgery last week, and they talked about how he jammed his thumb on that throw, and his thumb was very swollen and stiff, and it was very hard for him to kind of grip the football. Couldn't tell on Saturday. They once again just blow a team out, and it's impressive how they do it. I mean, they're scoring like 40 to 50 points a game. Their defense is legit. Like he raided the transfer portal and got a lot of top tier defenders, and they play well. Like they force turnovers, they rush the passer. Like this Indiana team is it's legitimately good.
They are.
If they were barely beating teams, like if they were like people want to compare them to TCU from a couple years ago, and it's like, yeah, TCU went on a miracle run and kind of like an easy schedule, but if you watch those games, like TCU was pulling miracle after miracle to win some of those games in the Big 12.
Miami?
Indiana's just steamrolling these teams right now. Sure. And we'll see how they do against Ohio State. That'll be their first like big boy test, but I think
the question is, if Ohio State loses that game, will that be an elimination game for them or not?
I was ready. I thought if they lost to Penn State this week, that Ohio State would have been on the outside looking in at the playoffs at this point.
The 2-loss mess is going to be a disaster. If you've got 2 like good losses, there's going to be about I anticipate there being about 6 teams fighting for about 3 spots.
Yeah.
For like good 2-loss teams. And there are some teams that are going to get left out that are going to be very upset. And I'm passionate about this because Tennessee could very well be one of them. So we have an Indiana team that looks good, an Ohio State team. That's a big win now. All of a sudden, Ohio State is it wasn't they did not play a perfect game. Will Howard was not perfect. It was enough to win against the Penn State team that was pretty untested up to this point as well. So the Big Ten situation right now is if Ohio State beats Indiana, all of a sudden you've got 3 1-loss teams and an undefeated Oregon. It's hard to envision. But first of all, I don't know what the tiebreaker is going to be for that because it's going to be wild. Penn State, Indiana, Ohio State, all with a loss.
I wonder if there's just
Ohio State would have the tiebreaker between Penn State and Indiana in that situation. So then it would be Oregon, Ohio State.
That's probably what it would. I would
be
imagine
like
that's what it is.
That would be the simplest ending to that. Actually,
it'd be the cleanest way for that conference to play out. But then all 4 of them still get in.
Likely, unfortunately,
yeah.
Ohio State plays Purdue, Northwestern, then Indiana, and then Michigan.
I thought Indiana was next
Michigan
week.
could do the funniest thing.
Shoot.
In Ryan Day's career. Boy, that would be funny. It's not going to happen. Michigan's pretty bad, I think.
Yeah, they're bad, but
they're not a bad team, but they're not at the same level as these 4, which has become pretty clear.
They can't really pretty much throw a forward pass.
Yeah, it turns out if you don't have a quarterback, it's pretty hard to do an offense. As much as Michigan and Iowa and all these Big Ten teams try, it's not easy.
Yeah, pretty important.
Even Penn State with a good quarterback, their offense still was just horrible.
They just couldn't move the ball.
They didn't score a touchdown, did they?
No, because they had the
ball 6 within the 5 and didn't score. Turned it over. That was.
I was really surprised. I was. I mean, that's what I get for changing my tune. I've been saying it all season that Penn State would, drop a game they're not supposed to and then get killed by Ohio State. And then I didn't listen to myself. And then Saturday afternoon, I'm sitting there holding a Penn State moneyline ticket, thinking to myself, "Why am I a moron? Why don't I listen to myself when I say things?" I find myself saying things consistently and then not doing the thing I say, and then saying, "Hey, dummy, you were right the first time. Let's do that."
It would make sense.
It would have.
So by my calculations, we got 4 Big Ten teams left. There's a good chance all 4 make it at this point. Next up, Big 12. Let's do Big 12 because it's a little chaotic.
Yeah.
We have another elimination in the Big 12. Sound the cannons. Kansas State eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
Rip to my guys over there at Kansas State. It was a good run. They took a loss to Houston. It was tight. But this Kansas State team, who has been pretty good all season, I think is effectively donezo. There'd have to be some pretty serious chaos at this point for them to make the Big 12 championship. So next, we have 3 teams left in the Big 12. Then, by my calculations, that I think have a shot. Kansas State could not be if Iowa State really just did something crazy. Kansas State could still make it, but here are the 3 teams: BYU undefeated, Iowa State, but an Iowa State team that is no longer undefeated.
Big win by Texas Tech.
Took a loss to Texas Tech, which Tins had a big bet on.
I did. It was I sent it in the group text. It was weird. It was Texas Tech was winning 7-0. They were plus 200 live. They had the ball in Iowa State's territory, and I texted the boys. And I said, "Hey, it's Texas Tech live. Jump on it." I don't know if anybody did, but it was plus 200. I smashed it.
I did not.
Glad I did.
Sorry,
it was really the only thing I hit all Saturday. I did okay, but it was 3-3. I was 3-3 in the Discord, so I needed something to get me over, and there it was. Yeah, I don't know. This Iowa State team, I mean, they had a chance to win it at the end, just came up a little short.
They've been in some close games.
They've had 2.
I feel like a luck ran out kind of situation.
Mm-hmm. The week before they had won with like 40 seconds left. They had a drive. This was the one I was talking about where they did the QB sneak and refs missed the call. So is what it is.
Kind of been winning by the skin of their teeth recently.
Yeah, they have been.
It was coming at some point.
They still control their own destiny, though, as far as getting in.
Schedule. They do. I think they've got a good shot at making that Big 12 championship, which is all you can ask for. They've got Kansas, Cincinnati, Utah, and they play a pretty big game against Kansas State, actually. Ooh, that's a big game.
That's a tough schedule, too.
I don't know if I can eliminate Kansas State anymore.
Cincinnati's not a joke either.
If Kansas State beats Iowa State, then they're going to go to the championship over them.
If Kansas State wins out?
If Kansas State beats Iowa State, then they'll both have 2 losses, but Kansas State will hold a tiebreaker.
I did wonder because they were
Kansas State uneliminated.
Texas Tech.
Sorry, everybody.
Texas Tech's in there too. The broadcast was talking about it during the game. How Texas Tech, if they went out, they'd get in too.
Oh no! Now I have to add Texas Tech to the list. Sheesh. Okay. There's more. I'm adding teams. I can't be adding teams.
We're supposed to be taking teams down.
Okay, the last team here in the Big 12, Colorado.
Yeah,
only 1 loss in Big 12 play. This Colorado team, all of a sudden, I don't know. I think they fall in the same category as like
Kansas State.
Yeah, just
they need a little help.
They look better all the time, but it's just like against what type of competition are we really looking at, you know? And it turns into a conversation of, do we actually think this team is good, or are they playing some weaker competition? Now they do play Texas Tech next weekend, and so that will be a big game.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like Colorado is an early 3-point favorite or Texas Tech on the road.
I do just think NIL and transfer portal has just made it to where you can say all day like, oh, schedule, who have they really played? I think it's just there's so much more balance in college football now as far as like distribution of talent. Like I just truly think for like a conference, especially like a conference like Big 12, like there's not a big separation as far as, especially with Texas and Oklahoma gone. There's not that big time program that's sucking up all the talent. Like all those teams are pretty close. If you're a good player and can perform well, like you can get to the NFL, which is what all these guys' goal is. So I don't know. I lean more towards like I'm starting to not think in the way of, oh, who have they played, but just kind of, I don't know, watch the games and see how they perform. Because I think a lot of these teams are just pretty close together instead of being so far apart as far as like separation of talent.
I just need you to keep that same energy when we talk about Clemson here in a little bit.
Oh, I have some things to say about Clemson.
Okay, so long story short, Big 12 is still wide open, I think. These last 4 weeks could very well get chaotic. There's some huge games. It sounds like Colorado Texas Tech next week is an elimination game. Write that down. Elimination game. I think it certainly probably is. Okay. Next up, ACC. Sound the cannons. Clemson eliminated. I'm eliminating Clemson. 2 losses. I think with the way the ACC is shaking out, they would have a very, very tough time making the ACC championship at this point. They would need some bad losses, and so they'd have to get in as an at-large. I think their 2 losses are going to be too much for them to overcome with the rest of their schedule being what it is. I think Clemson's out unless some real crazy stuff happens with SMU, basically.
SMU undefeated in the ACC with a very weak rest of their schedule.
Definitely. I mean, that's why I say they're eliminated, because I think SMU is just.
I think SMU just punched their ticket to the ACC championship game.
That's what I'm saying. SMU, Miami, both of them played just garbage.
What a shame!
ACC championship.
What a shame if for all the people not in our Discord that don't currently have an SMU ticket right now. Someone gave out. Now, granted, I did parlay it with Georgia and Oregon because I do love me a parlay, but still, it was like plus 5,000.
Can I just say something?
A Miami ticket still floating around as well,
and I do have a Miami ticket. Yep.
Miami Oregon
that's from Future Fridays. It was like
better.
Plus 450.
In our defense, Tinsley's like, "What a shame these guys didn't take my advice." I already take hundreds of my own bets, and then I try to take some of Tinsley's. And so if we do the math, 100, or actually Tinsley probably doubles the amount of bets that I do. So 200 bets of Tinsley's plus 100 of mine. That's like 300 bets I'm making.
I only put in the Discord the futures so far. I've given 2.
You guys want to know Tinsley's strategy?
Yeah, good point.
As the season goes on, put more and more features on every possible option to win these like conferences. So it's gonna win though. Because I know he's had Miami forever, and then he picked up
Miami since August. Yeah,
and so
that 5-leg parlay that paid out $900. He like caught that by. He was like, "Oh, I took this like forever. Wow, I got one that's live." Everybody like he like forgot it even existed. That would have been funny if it just lost in the bet slip, and it just all of a sudden one morning he woke up with $900 and like,
I do think about that sometimes. Like, had I not noticed that I still had that futures parlay where the Orioles won it on the last game, like what would I have done if I just logged in?
You just wouldn't have stressed out about the Orioles for a month.
It's true. I wouldn't have even thought about them anymore.
Okay. So ACC, I think it's going to come down between Miami and SMU. Winner goes. I don't know if the loser goes.
I don't know what happened to Pitt. Like, not only did they lose, but they got smoked. Their quarterback played.
Weird. Yeah, I just think Pitt was never very good. I mean, I think they were a decent team, but I just think they never were challenged even a little bit.
Poor old Clemson. Poor old Dabo.
Hate to see it for Guy Dabo. Okay, before we get to SEC, Boise State, if they win out, they're in, as far as I'm concerned. At large, Notre Dame, I think, is in the same category, unfortunately, which is one of the more frustrating things you will ever. Whatever. They, if they win out, they were in.
It's
Army.
No consequences for losing to a MAC school who's not even going to win the MAC. Be one thing.
Don't get me started on
if they ran through the MAC. NIU was just this dominant team and just ran MACtion, but instead they're out here losing every freaking weekend.
that loss is still one of the most inexplicable things that's happened this season. Army, I think, will lose to Notre Dame, but I put them both. They're both on the list still but they play each other, so one of those will be dropping off. Okay.
Does that
Coming to
mean
the SEC?
Oh, sorry.
What's that?
Does that mean Ball State's better than Notre Dame? Because NIU beat Notre Dame, but Ball State beat NIU.
Yeah, it means there's like 4 or 5 MAC teams better than Notre Dame.
There you go.
Shout out
4-14, by the way. NIU.
Shout out Ball State. They won on a 50-yard field goal game winner. Their kicker is a sophomore. He hit a 50-yard field goal last year to beat NIU. He ran up to the camera interview person afterwards and was like, "Yeah, that's what I do. I'm a Husky killer." I don't know if that's something you want to say on to a nationally televised camera, but he said he's a Husky killer, so that's what he does.
Crazy.
And that's our Ball State talk for the year.
Dude,
by the way.
I love when like a small time school or like a MAC school like that has a kicker like that who's just like hitting game winners and just a very good kicker. And then you got schools like big SEC schools who can't find a kicker to save their life.
Don't talk to me about kickers.
Arizona State's like holding tryouts, like, and their coach was like, "No,
Tennessee,
for real,
open tryouts.
We need a kicker." It's just always funny.
It is true. It is. Kickers are weird, man. Weird. Okay,
they're weird. It's just a weird position.
SEC. This is where things are going to get weird. No eliminations this week in the SEC somehow. A couple big losses, but no eliminations. A&M obviously drops South Carolina. They're now at 2 losses on the season, 1 loss in SEC play. Fun fact: there are now 5 teams with 1 loss in SEC play. If you're counting at home, there's only 2 spots in the SEC championship game. 5 teams with 1 loss right now. That'll be A&M, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, and LSU.
Are we just on a crash course for Texas versus Georgia again?
Certainly could be. Texas would have to go through A&M.
It's true.
Georgia still has a pretty tough schedule ahead of them, including a team in orange that we will mention here in a second. But there are so other than that, Bama and Ole Miss both have 2 losses in the SEC, so are looking definitely probably not making the SEC championship, but still are on that list where they could sneak in and grab an at-large bid potentially. So you have 7 teams all fighting for, I think, a max of 4 spots. There's a potential that there's only 3 spots there if some things go a certain way. So we're looking at some chaos going on here. A lot of teams kind of Ole Miss smoked Arkansas in a pretty big way. Tennessee had some trouble early with Kentucky and same old offensive woes in the first half. 3 missed field goals, which is one of the wildest, most frustrating things. Some inexplicable turnovers, whatever. It was horrible, but it's a win. And we have a collision ahead of us in Athens. Tennessee, Georgia, looking to be a big one. That could be an elimination game potentially. It will definitely be an elimination game for the SEC championship. But it could have some pretty serious playoffs implications there as well. Overall, let's talk about Vandy real quick, even though Vandy is not in this conversation. Vandy beat Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
Hugh Freeze, hot seat potential. I don't know. Auburn is bad.
Does Auburn have the kind of boosters and pull to like fire a guy after 1 season? I don't know. I don't think they do. I think they give him time. He's won in the SEC. This is not his recruiting class. Like, sure, he said it and it was a bad look, but it's also true. Like these aren't his guys.
Sure.
Can I go back to Vandy real quick?
Yep.
Is anybody else so afraid of that's Tennessee's last game of the year.
Mason,
that being an overlook.
No one's overlooking it. See, here's the thing with Vanderbilt. No one's overlooking him anymore.
I know, but I'm still like afraid. Like,
I mean, I'm nervous for sure, a little bit.
That's just one of those games where you always feel like you got it in the bag, and then you don't.
Mason, we still played Georgia before then.
I know. I'm already fast
You're looking
forwarding
ahead all the way. You're looking ahead to Vandy. What is this?
To November
what is
30th.
2024? You're overlooking Georgia for the Vanderbilt game.
Listen, you're
One
right.
moment of time.
Exactly. let's get to Georgia first, and then
Actually,
we'll
Mississippi State
about
this week.
They've won what? One game.
We need to not that
mess around.
Bad. Yeah, we need to win that by I think they're 24.5 favorites was the opening line.
Mississippi State can score some points.
Do you take the over 61.5?
They covered against Georgia. Oh my dog did not like that.
Tennessee has not allowed 20 points all season so far. That's a real stat. Also, another real stat. If you want to know the stat of the century.
Ooh, I love stats of the century.
Tennessee.
Let's hear it.
Only one starting opponent quarterback has made it to the end of the game against Tennessee this year, and that was Jalen Milroe. That's literally the only one.
They've all got hurt or benched.
Yeah, now that I think about it, that's crazy.
Arkansas,
do love a good stat.
Yeah, Taylor Green didn't finish the game.
He didn't finish the game.
Oh, that's right.
He got injured. Jackson Arnold obviously didn't finish that game.
Don't even remember who.
Brock Vandegrift had a huge hit against James Pierce. He went out. Every game.
Pierce. What a guy. What a future player in the NFL.
What a guy. Yep.
Put him on the list.
So, in short, the SEC is kind of going to be a mess here, folks. I anticipate at least. I don't know. I anticipate two lost teams probably not making the playoffs. That there's going to be some serious conversations around. I can almost guarantee you Bama will be at the center of it. Bama and
Tennessee are going to be.
Bama, Tennessee, Ole Miss potentially are all going to be at the center of this conversation, and it's going to be messy.
By
Georgia. So they might not be but LSU.
If Lagway didn't get hurt, I bet you Florida would beat them.
Does Bama beat LSU still?
Yeah.
Okay, so there will be some things that get solved along the way.
Yeah.
I think the big question mark is going to be what do you do? Yeah, Alabama LSU play next week. It's a big game.
Yeah, it's a big game.
It's a huge game. It's an elimination game for like a 100% elimination game. Oh boy, that's in Death Valley at night too. That's gonna be a fun one. That's for next week. Georgia Ole Miss though also play next week. Another big game. Georgia at Ole Miss.
Next Monday we'll have some answers about the SEC. I think we'll
have some. What do you think the line is? Georgia at Ole Miss.
Georgia at Ole Miss. Georgia minus 10.5.
2.5.
Carson Beck does suck, so that does make sense.
Jackson Dart had like 500 passing yards.
I know. And Ole Miss looked much better this week.
5 TDs.
An Arkansas team that is not a bad team.
I was like, oh, did that jump up his Heisman stat? It didn't really. He's still like plus 1,600. It didn't do much.
Travis Hunter's still the favorite, I think.
Yeah, it was a tie between him and Cam Ward. Genty even, like, it's just like with a running back. It's like they have to go above and beyond. Like, he's going to break records and they're still
yards.
But they're like, oh, not enough because it's not a quarterback or Travis Hunter playing two different positions. It's just, anyways, didn't mean to get on Heisman talk there. I've just been keeping an eye on it.
I think the quarterback of the team who ends the season as the number one ranked team should win the Heisman. In my personal
as it always should be.
You know, a guy like Dylan Gabriel out here doing the most. He's kept his team as the number one seed that long in the season. I think he should just win the Heisman because that team wouldn't be anywhere without him.
It's a good point.
But
something to think about.
I don't have a vote, so
you don't know ball.
What do I have to say? My opinion doesn't matter. Dylan Gabriel, though. And he's doing it left-handed. You know how hard that is?
He will certainly be there if Oregon continues to win, which I think they will. Yeah.
He's like 5'8".
There could be 2 eliminations next week in the SEC. That would actually be big.
Or Bama could beat LSU, cause more chaos, and then Ole Miss could do the
Bama's
most.
LSU and LSU's out though, so that's at least one team going out.
Why?
That would be their third
LSU?
loss.
That would be their third loss?
They lost to USC and Texas A&M.
Oh, yeah. Yep. You're right.
And so, Ole Miss, Georgia.
Ole Miss could do something hilarious.
It would be. I don't know if that would be good for Tennessee or not, but
it'd be funny long term.
Could be.
Remember that time I said on this podcast that Georgia, now that they got Walker back on their defensive line, that the Georgia was about to go on a run here and be like a ball of chainsaws?
Yeah.
Turns out Carson Beck is the repellent of the ball of chainsaws.
3 turnovers.
This
3
dude sucks. They're lucky Lagway got hurt because that game could have.
I know.
That game could have gone a different way. Had Florida not had a 4th string or 3rd string quarterback in there who's petrified.
And you're trying to wish the Titans would draft him. How dare you? Carson Beck. Yes.
I said Quentin Ewers. At least I gave you that. He's better than Beck.
Give me either.
Neither. Give me neither.
You're getting one of them.
Good.
Nope. Okay, anyways, sorry. Didn't mean to get off topic. You have said Carson Beck before in the past, but it's been a while.
It's kind of a toss-up. You're going to get one of the mediocre pocket passers, air quotes.
I'm good.
No, it's okay. That's who you're getting. You're getting one of them. Just go ahead and embrace it now. Start watching tape and start figuring out like what they do good that you can defend online with. Like,
I don't understand why someone like Carson Beck gets that much NFL. Like, I don't just because he's on a team that wins. I don't understand why that makes him a decent NFL quarterback.
Because he's the prototypical 6'4" with a big arm.
But what if he's not good?
But we have a lot of quarterbacks that were like that. What's
the one that won all the time? Is Cam Ward gonna be in the NFL?
Yeah, Cam Ward got drafted pretty high, probably.
Stinson
Cam Ward's not gonna work out in the NFL either. I'll just go all that little running around, like hesitation stuff he does in the pocket. He's gonna get murdered.
You mean the ACC is not representative of the NFL?
No.
Okay. It's news to me. I was told Miami is a great football team that plays a tough schedule and has been challenged every step of the way, and will be battle tested and ready for postseason play.
Zach, if Miami would just lose a game, would you just before the ACC championship game, will you lay off of them?
Yes.
I've been fighting. I took Miami win total for before the season. Future
and
Friday,
won the ACC.
And
what was the win total?
8.5.
Yeah.
Oh, that's looking great.
It's looking great. I took them to win the ACC. I hyped them up in the Future Friday. I did a parlay with them with Oregon, and you jumped on it with me. And every week, every game, Zach is openly rooting for Miami's downfall. I get that you hate them, but we've got to hype these boys up for a few more weeks. After they win the ACC, I don't care what happens to them. They can get killed by Texas A&M by 50 for all I care in the playoff.
Listen, I'm also financially incentivized for Miami to win the ACC.
That's what's funny to me. He also bet on them. It's just like,
I know.
I have some deep set things that I can't undo just because of my money and like financial interests. Right.
But what if I were to tell you that those futures are some of the biggest futures I've ever placed?
It's like tens.
Financially speaking.
Tens, is there not, whenever I know that you have some big futures on Buffalo Bills.
Uh-huh.
But no part of you is also like somewhere in you also rooting against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, no, every time like when he threw his first interception last week, I chuckled. And I was like, oh, there he is. There's Josh.
See, it's the same thing. It's the same idea.
Okay. That's fair.
It's like,
well, part of me just wants
I can think they're going to win, but I can also still root against them because they're suck.
At that point, I just want Miami to lose one game, and that way I can just have positive Zach for the rest of the season.
That's a good point.
I don't know. It's worked so far, so
That's true. I mean, maybe we just keep doing what we do.
Just
No,
keep enduring it.
Tens will be like, oh, go ahead.
Just like Zach literally said something about these Miami frauds are about to get or bailed out or something. He said something in the group text, and then Miami went on a tear and covered minus 21. And I was
That's
like,
all they
I think they're just
needed.
trying to prove me wrong or something.
Yeah, motivation.
So it's their bulletin board material.
Yeah.
It's the next
they
guy
just got a
podcast.
live feed of Zach. What were you about to say, Mason?
No, I was just gonna say Tinsley will like show me crazy bet slip parlays like, oh, and this has the Bills to win Super Bowl. And I was like, it's crazy how much in one season it changes. Because I thought if you had the over under of 95 times Tinsley trashed on the Bills on the podcast last season, you would have cashed like halfway through our season. Because he was a hater of all haters, and now he's got money dependent on the Bills.
I offered a peace treaty to the Bills fans.
Did they
and to
accept
the
it?
Bills? Yeah.
Did you jump on a table?
I'll do whatever they want me to do. If they win the Super Bowl and cash these fees, I got one that pays out like $31,000. So yeah, I'm a big Bills guy. If they can do, I'm really rooting for a Bills Lions Super Bowl. It'd be very financially helpful to my life.
Does part of it think that you're just like it's really hard for a three-peat, something that's never happened
Yeah,
ever, and so you're like, I need to fade the Chiefs and go with somebody else, and they kind of seem like the one that could take on the Chiefs the best. So it's like,
but here in like 3 weeks, what will happen is I'll have some data for hockey and NBA, and I'll make a parlay for that, and have the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, so you can hedge yourself.
I'm constantly hedging. I'm the hedge. I'm a hedge fund manager. That's what I am.
There you go.
Just out here always looking at hedges.
The hedge fund manager. Okay. Tim, do you got anything else college wise? No.
No. It's just a crazy weekend. There was lots of upsets.
No.
I cannot believe
stuff going on.
I cannot believe Clemson looked the way they did. Dabo Swinney is an idiot. I did just want to say that. Why do you not go for 2 in that situation to make yourself down 12 points instead of kicking an extra point to be down 15? Why are you so stupid? Like, I get it. If you don't get it, then whatever. But I don't know. He's terrible. He's just.
It does feel like his reign of terror is coming to an end. It's kind of been that direction, but
his buyout's pretty big.
Yeah.
He won 2 national titles there, so I don't feel like.
I don't think he's going to get fired, but I just think they're kind of settling in with like some of the average ACC teams, and I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're just going to be in the national spotlight as much. Where they are this season, maybe becoming average.
He did stop doing call-ins on his radio show he does once a week. Remember that whole story last year where that caller like asked him something about why are you like not doing transfers and why do you suck now or something like that? Like, why can't you recruit anymore? And he stopped taking callers ever since then. So maybe he'll just be like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be in the spotlight here at Clemson.
But Nick Saban did.
Yeah. And then when got on the analyst desk at ESPN, has to sit next to Pat McAfee and doing his bits on bits every Saturday.
Okay, one more game we didn't mention a ton, so let's just do it here. A&M at South Carolina.
What an obvious trap that was.
It was, but South Carolina, man, it was tied at halftime, I think, and they just dominated the second half. Defensively, the South Carolina defense is no joke. Defensive line, deadly. Offense looked better than it has as well. South Carolina's a weird team that has looked very good at times this season and has also looked very bad at times this season.
Just a team you don't want to play.
I am very glad they are not on a Tennessee schedule. I will say that. Yeah, because they're a scary team. I don't know if anyone wants to play them right now. They just have that thing about them where they feels like they can go out and compete with anyone if the night's right. They play Vanderbilt next weekend. What's up with Vanderbilt's home schedule? It's at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt has hosted so many games, I feel like big games. Tennessee's going there.
They got Bama there and
Texas
and A&M,
South Carolina,
South Carolina,
and Tennessee.
And Tennessee. Wow.
They'll have played like 3 top 15 teams at Vanderbilt by the end of the year.
If they're season ticket holders, you have an extra ticket, you could be selling them, making some profit this season.
Big money. Then they play Missouri, Wofford, and at Clemson to end the season. South Carolina.
Oh, South Carolina. Yeah, South Carolina could put the cherry on top and just absolutely end Clemson's season.
Be fun.
I wouldn't hate that. I don't know why I don't like Clemson. Well, actually, I do know why. They were the last leg of my parlay this week, and it was like I hadn't really bet them. I don't know. I'd stay away from Clemson, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna throw them in this parlay. I had to fight to the death for the over in the Florida Georgia game. And I was like, okay, I got that leg. Clemson -10. That's all I got left, and then just blink, and they're getting whooped by Louisville of all teams. I was like, all right, well, now I'm angry. So now I hate Clemson.
On the list.
On the list.
All right. I feel pretty good about that. We got a big weekend coming up.
Yeah.
Next week's going to be huge.
Big. Yeah. We'll have some eliminations.
I think every week at this point is going to have at least a couple of matchups that are like, this is big.
That was just SEC that we looked at. I'm sure if we go look at like Big 10 or the Big 12, I'm sure there's probably some. Oh yeah, we talked about Colorado, Texas Tech. That's an elimination for sure.
We're gonna knock people off this list. Around. Oh yeah, fun stuff.
Yeah, we gotta get this list down a little bit. It's about around 22 to 24, and there's only 12 spots.
Yeah, 10's gonna be add a team to the list.
Are we gonna be adding more teams instead of taking away next week?
Certainly hope not. We don't have room for that.
We can't add any more to the list.
We're out of space. We're done.
Also, happy fall back day today, everyone.
Gross.
Everyone enjoy that extra hour of sleep.
I still woke up like my body clock was just
I woke up at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Part of me wanted to call Mason at 3 a.m. and make him wake up just to ruin an hour worth of his sleep. Just to be like, you're not allowed to enjoy his fall back, buddy.
I still didn't even enjoy it. I woke up at my normal time.
Still, should have called you. Should have messed up your sleep pattern somehow. You got your normal 12 hours. I'm proud of you.
I did, yeah. 7 to 7, baby. It's past my bedtime now.
He's like, I didn't watch any college football. I don't know anything about college football. So you got to stay awake. Watch something.
He's laughing, but he knows it's true.
Yeah. Lots of naps.
I missed out on one today. I'm really feeling it, guys. We'll get through this. We can do this. We can do this. I believe in us.
Hey, big matchup next week. Florida State, Notre Dame.
Gosh, Florida State. Now they could do the funniest thing ever, though.
That would be the.
I think DJU. I think Ungalega is back.
That's a quarterback bump. New quarterback bump.
That could.
What's the spread on that?
We need.
What do you think the spread is, Mason?
27.5.
26.
Wow. You say you don't know college ball. Come on, Mason. You know ball.
At Notre Dame. Oh, that would be gosh.
Has a top 10 or a team that started out in the top 10 ever been a 20+ point underdog at any point during the same season? Probably.
They're 1-8.
Chewy.
That's horrible.
You remember when everybody was like saying they were contenders?
Oh, they're 1-8 in the ACC.
Yeah,
they also North Carolina smacked around.
ESPN was saying they had the best defensive line in the country.
It's tough.
Tough look. You have teams like Boise State running teams like Boston College running like 300 yards on them, getting pushed around. Bunch of idiots.
Remember when they played the game in Ireland in week 1?
Georgia Tech's
Sounds like a big
offensive
upset.
line.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech's offensive line was pushing them around like that video where the sumo wrestlers are like throwing CJ Stroud around this offseason just for fun.
Gosh. CJ Stroud. You had
What
to
he
get that in
wrestled
there.
with? It was just an example of a sumo wrestler wrestling with a quarterback who went over there for content. What do you want me to do?
Of course.
What am I supposed to say right now?
Nothing.
I didn't. It was not a personal shot about CJ Stroud. It's just the first thing that came to my mind was a sumo wrestler pushing someone around. CJ Stroud, right, Mason?
Speaking of CJ Stroud,
Yeah,
should
Thursday
we do
night
some
football.
NFL talk?
Thursday night football. Yeah,
Real quick, let's
Jets are
just
back.
start. Let's just start in order because I sent out a text to the guys here about. I was like, the Jets are favored. Is this like a trap? And
I thought it was.
yeah, and I was like, I feel because I was like, everybody wants to bet the Texans here because on paper, without the injury, like obviously Stephon Diggs is out for the year. I feel like everybody was taking and I was like, this is a trap, right? Should I bet the Jets? And he was like, yeah, it's a trap. And I didn't mess with it at all. And
Guess it wasn't a
the
trap.
Jets won. I guess it wasn't a trap. There you go. Congrats to Derrick Henry for his 100th rushing touchdown of his career.
Wow.
Man, if only that guy he looked good in navy blue and white.
Mason's doing this weird victory parade against me where he keeps bringing up Derrick Henry.
No.
how good it's
It wasn't
doing.
really that. I
Just-
had some talking points for this, but go ahead.
I just even today when I saw you were like,
Oh yeah, I did say
Tinsley over here was giving me grief about Derrick Henry.
He made one slight, like not even that bad of a comment.
I
And
just
I
made a
don't
joke
know.
about Mason's backfield that he drafted. Mason's known in fantasy football for drafting all the running backs. This year he went wide receiver in the first couple rounds and then drafted Joe Mixon and Derrick Henry. I said, wow, that in a fantasy draft, that'd be a really good backfield in 2017.
Yeah, and I
when
took
they
it
were
to heart.
both like 24. That's not even a shot.
It was it's week 9 in the NFL season, and I bring up, hey, Derrick Henry scored his second touchdown. Doesn't seem like he's lost his stride in the age of 30, whatever he is. 30, I think he might be 30.
He's just like 30 or 31, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Mason keeps bringing it up like I have an open campaign, like I'm like a politician on TV every day talking about how much Derrick Henry has fallen off. I just made one comment about him being old.
Yeah, no, I wanted to bring it up because I have a hot take, or not our hot takes. What are they called that we do for our segment? It was like overreaction. Yeah, hot take, overreaction, same thing. But he finished with 106 yards and 2 TDs. I was like, dang. But my prediction is that he's going to break the record for the most touchdowns in a season. Do you know who that's held by? Rushing touchdowns, sorry.
With Daniel Tomlinson, 21.
Tinsley knows ball.
Right? Was 21 rushing?
28.
28 rushing?
It says he rushed for 28 rushing touchdowns in 2006.
I thought it was 21 rushing and then he had 7 receiving.
Dang, let me look at this. It says rushing touchdowns.
Sean Alexander.
Priest Holmes had Sean Alexander and Priest Holmes held the record combined for 27 rushing each rush. Okay,
well then it was.
Zach, do you mind like fact checking us while we're hitting some points here? Rushing touchdowns, most in a season, not combined.
What's Derrick Henry at right now?
He's at 11.
Just
I think
rushing?
he's actually at just rushing.
So he needs 18 more to break the record.
Yes. But he's on a streak. He can
8 games left.
It's fine. He's got it. It's a bold prediction for a reason. Well, if it's 21, he definitely can get that.
Well, Daniel Tomlinson, 28.
Okay. 28.
In 2006. Second place is Priest Holmes and Sean Alexander, who had 27 each.
Did those teams ever throw the ball?
28's a lot. Never
28's a lot.
I retract my bold prediction.
There have been 11 instances where a player has rushed for 20 or more touchdown.
Well, still congrats to Derrick Henry for the 100th career rushing touchdown. You know who didn't rush a touchdown today? Yeah.
So he's had only 100 career, and you think he's going to get 28 in this one season?
I thought he was going to get 21. And then I was hoping that was passing and receiving was total. It's fine. It is a lot.
It's fine, everybody.
But you know who didn't rush for a touchdown today?
Kyron Williams.
Rip to everybody. He was the most bet running back to score a touchdown today because he is on a 10-game touchdown streak, and it has come to an end.
Wow.
R.I.P.
Also, before your next point, shout out to anyone watching Sunday Night Football. We really flexed out Jags Eagles for this Vikings Colts game that absolutely sucks. It was 7-0 at halftime. Got old man Joe Flacco out here looking like a bum.
What do you guys think about how...
Did they put Anthony Richardson back in? Go ahead.
No.
Sorry. Sometimes I feel like those consecutive rushing touchdown situations like we had with Christian McCaffrey last year, that's like almost on coaching as much as it is like actual on the running back. You're kind of betting on whether the coach wants to keep the streak up or not.
Keep the streak going, yeah.
At some point. And that's tough. I don't know. That makes things interesting. It's like, do we want to just force feed it and make it happen? Keep the streak alive?
The 49ers did try the game where Christian McCaffrey's streak ended was actually against the Jags when they were absolutely boat racing us in Jacksonville last year. Christian McCaffrey was still playing when they were up. I think they were legitimately up 30, and they were trying to get him to get into the end zone. And our defense just like our defensive coordinator was like, we got really embarrassed, but I can at least say we ended that streak. Like that's what he told the guys on the sideline. He's like, just be the team that ends that. We gotta do something here. So that's what we did.
That's respectable. You gotta stand your ground somewhere.
But he did score like 13 games in a row,
which is wild. Yeah,
people were like bet it and then rolled it for that long. You would have been a millionaire if you started out with $100.
It was minus 300 at one point to score a touchdown, which is crazy.
It becomes kind of like Angel Reese's double streak.
Yeah,
where it's like. Just go in there.
Stat padding a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that becomes like the primary focus is like, we got to make this happen. Okay.
Did you have an overreaction?
That's my take.
Mine was retracted, so technically the listeners have 0 overreactions for the pod.
My overreaction is that the Cardinals are awesome. Cardinals are legit.
Well, it's funny you bring that up.
First place in their division, undefeated in their division.
That division's crazy right now.
If only someone before the season started, before you guys are like, he took 1,000 parlays. Nope. I just gave out Future Friday. I said, listen, I think this 49ers team is got a lot of injuries. I don't think they're going to win the division. Put a unit on the Rams, put a half unit on the Cardinals. Those are 2 single bets on a Future Friday, and both of them looking pretty nice.
Can I just say that Tinsley's taking a victory lap, and all the teams are a game back from the Cardinals. So it's 5-4, then 4-4, 4-4, and 4-5.
Cardinals are 2-0 in the division. They're plus 1,600. I gave you value then. I bet you if you look right now, they're probably like plus 400 or 500.
Yeah, I'd like to look actually. Let's take a look.
Let's take a look.
No, that's pretty good. Let me see. Well, I have my disappointment of the week.
Ooh, I want to hear that.
The Titans for winning.
Yeah.
You played yourself, Titans.
It's a fact.
What are we doing here?
What a bummer.
You guys were playing for the first overall draft pick today. The Panthers won. You could have put yourself in a very good situation.
Yep.
To
trust me.
Hold your future in your hands. Have the first overall draft pick. That way you can take. I don't know. This is not the draft class you want.
No, it's not.
No,
it's just not.
Also, the divisions are the division odds are closed probably until this game ends tonight. Yeah. So we'll look at that later. But the disappointment was the fact that it's a weird place to be in because I don't remember ever a time. I know we've had close up picks, but this is a weird place for me to be in where I'm actually rooting for them to lose. Even when we were like still bad and we had no chance of getting in the playoffs, I'd still root for us to win just because I'm like, we might as well win a game. But now I'm to the point where I'm just like rooting for us to lose.
I'm there now too. After we lost to the Eagles today, I'm ready. Just lose out. Give me Travis Hunter. That'd be fun. #fun.
#fun. They will not play him both sides
Ben
of the
Johnson
ball.
might. Ben Johnson's a crazy man. He throws plays out there where the offensive linemen are getting laterals and throwing touchdown passes to each other.
So for our listeners out there, Ben Johnson does not coach for the Jags. Everybody.
Yet.
Okay.
Trying to will it into existence.
What route do we want to go here in this talking point? Because I know you want to talk about Jameis Winston.
I sure do.
He's on a bye week next week, and then they play the Saints the week after, the 2-5 Saints.
So first of all, boys, Jameis Winston went back to the pumpkin that he is. The clock struck midnight, and he went back to being a terrible quarterback. This is the Jameis Winston experience. Everyone forgets because he comes in once a season, lights it up, and does all the funny interviews and pep talks and does all that stuff. Great. Stuff's good for social media. He's going to be amazing at that when he retires. But people forget that he loves to throw the ball to the other team, that he could have very easily ended the game last week against the Ravens with a pick if Kyle Hamilton had any hands at all. That's why he plays safety and not wide receiver. Kyle Hamilton, you are a joke. You are the reason I have to deal with this for an extra week because you couldn't catch the game-winning interception. Jameis Winston today against the Chargers. Oh, boy. 235 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. They lose 27-10.
So, say those stats one more time for me, please.
235 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. They lose by 17 points.
Ladies, gentlemen, Tinsley, Zach, the listeners of the Next Guy Up podcast, please step into my time machine back to 2021. Jags at the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Lawrence's stat line: 193 yards,
Mm-hmm.
1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. They lose 10-50, 5-0 against the Patriots.
Who?
That was
Trevor
my time
Lawrence.
machine.
Trevor Lawrence, rookie quarterback. Who were his starting wide receivers for that game? Mason, go ahead, share with the class.
Also, hold on. You said rookie.
He was a rookie.
That was his rookie stats. But he just got paid. He just got paid how much money and what year is he in now? And he has the same record. The Jags have the same record as the Browns.
Jameis Winston's terrible. He has shown it time and time again that he is not a top 10 quarterback. He's like 30 years old.
I'll answer your question. Laquan Treadwell had the most yards, 87. Marvin Jones, Lavish Shenault.
He's a punt returner for the Seahawks.
Tavon Austin.
Retired.
That's it.
Urban Meyer as the head coach against Bill Belichick. That was a Bill Belichick defense. Top 10 in everything, I would assume.
Should I look?
So I don't know that. What are you trying to compare?
So what year was this?
Playing a pretty bad Chargers team today, who's just like a mediocre team.
50 points got put up, so that must have been the Tom Brady year, right? No, that was Mac Jones.
Urban Meyer was our head coach.
Zach, you're supposed to be backing me
Do you know who our defensive coordinator was? Was Louis Strong. You know who that was? The guy who was the coach at he got fired so fast in Texas.
Mason pulled a game from many years ago. It's like, look, these stats are similar.
They are. Actually, Jameis Winston had more throwing yards than Trevor Lawrence did.
Oh.
What are you trying? What is your point?
The matter is, Jameis Winston might be better than Trevor.
Everyone has a bad day. It's fine.
That's exactly what the point is.
But my point is he's not the comeback player of the year because he's been a backup for the last 4 years. What is it he's coming back from? That's my point. What is he coming back from?
Trevor Lawrence wasn't even on the comeback player of the year. I couldn't even bet him. I'm just proud of him.
This guy.
Listen to a motivational speech from Trevor. I saw a Twitter post one time. It was like, man, this guy couldn't motivate me to make a sandwich. And it was like, all right, guys, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna win on 3. 1, 2, 3, win.
I know which speech you're talking about.
I'll send you that
Colts
Twitter
game. We were at that game, and that was again. He's like 21 years old and a rookie in the NFL.
couldn't motivate me to make a sandwich. And then you got Jameis Winston out here
preaching
with his.
I can't wait. I can't wait for Carson Beck to be your quarterback with his TikTok girlfriend. I'm going to roast you every day. The guy looks like a hammerhead shark with his eyeballs on the side of his head. That's your future quarterback.
Let's go through the checklist, Tim.
Yeah.
Is Jameis Winston better than Deshaun Watson?
Yes. Okay. Yep. Got you there.
Does he make the Browns more fun to watch?
Yes.
Those are our 2 talking points.
No, but my point is that he's sometimes. I'm not saying you guys, but sometimes people on Twitter act like Jameis Winston is like a top 10 quarterback.
Could be
just because
we never said that. Oh,
just because he is funny, he's entertaining. He's fun to watch. I get all those things, and he is like there's probably a solid list. I would start Jameis over, but at the same time, you cannot.
We're not saying he's MVP. We're saying he's comeback.
But he didn't come back from anything.
He came back from the depths of the bench.
That's right.
No, that's not a thing. That's not a thing. That's not how this works.
That's how it works.
The guys in front of him were so bad that now he's got an opportunity.
He hadn't played since 2022. It was 2 years ago. Bingo. It's pretty good. That's a comeback.
A lot of years.
They're on bye this week.
Yeah,
he needs it. He needs some rest.
Your boy might get replaced. DTR might be the new starter after the bye week.
Don't stop.
What?
Get that out of here.
He's a young player. They might want to see what they got.
Wow, that's great.
They've already seen what they have.
Unless it's Hendon Hooker, I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
there you go.
It'd be a real shame if we come back in 2 weeks and I'm like, oh, hey, look, DTR is starting for the Browns this weekend. How do you guys feel about your comeback player of the bet now?
Still should be. That one game was electric.
Kirk Cousins. It's Kirk Cousins' award to lose now. I bet it's at like minus money after today's game.
Get the Kirk Cousins out of my face.
Yeah, the 37-year-old dude who tore his Achilles and came back in a year.
What about the guy who's been sitting the bench for 2 years and he came back and won an NFL game?
Why was he sitting on the bench if he was so bad?
Why? But now he's back.
Why was he on the bench if he was so bad?
He was on the stink.
He was on the Saints. You know who that had at quarterback last year? You don't, because he was that bad. I don't know. I can confidently tell you I don't know. I don't even remember who the Saints had a quarterback last year.
I believe still. I still believe. Jameis,
listen. What?
I need you to have a big game though.
Comeback player of the year?
Yeah.
And also, he had 3 interceptions, no touchdowns, and 35 yards at one point, and then a bunch of garbage time Blake Bortles stats is what happened. That's what Bortles used to do for me too. I'd be like, "Oh, look at the stats." Bortles
he's looking ahead to next week already. Since he's already forgot about this performance.
He was playing.
He's forward looking.
He's going to throw an interception to the bye week next week. That's what Jameis Winston does.
You can't do that.
Jameis could.
No, Jameis is a winner.
He's a turnover machine.
Also, my last talking point for the NFL news, and I know Tinsley's probably got a couple things. My nosedive of the week was the Washington Commanders fan that took a literal dive. I don't know if you've seen this in the stands. He was smack talking and definitely drunk, and he falls over like 4 or 5 aisles rows of chairs. And then he just did pop back up. Like, that looks very painful. Look it up if you've not seen it. Just type in Commanders fan that falls in the stands. And everybody, like, the worker's like, "Hey, what's going on here, buddy?" And he just like gives the worker a fist bump, even though like the guy was like, I was checking to see if you had a concussion, not if you wanted a fist bump. But that's my literal nosedive of the week is that Washington Commanders fan.
Wow. All
Did you
right.
have any other things we skipped over?
Yeah, I wanted to shout out.
Did you know I had the 2021 stat in my or in my back pocket there? No.
No, but it doesn't matter. Like, go compare every rookie quarterback's first start against Bill Belichick's defenses. It's a fun list if you really want to go see it.
And trust me, I just bought a phone for the first time, a cell phone, while I was in high school. I got home and I was like, I'm gonna, get this phone set up while I turn on the Patriots Titans game, and it was that snow game where we got blown out like 69-0.
Yeah.
I remember that.
So why are you hollering at me?
I'm just telling you how. Now I was bringing up a memory. I was like, nope, I know how it is getting beat up by the Patriots. Okay, go ahead. What was your talking point?
Shout out Tyler Bass for the Bills hitting a 61-yard 61-yard field goal to win the game, to pretty much lock up the AFC East. Like, the Bills are probably pretty much in cruise control now as far as that division goes.
That division's crazy. It's literally Bills 7-2, Jets 3-6, Dolphins 2-6, Patriots 2-7. Like, I've never seen that big of a gap between the one and the rest of the field.
Yeah, we were talking about it a little bit before. It's just trying to think of other examples. I really couldn't think of one definitively, but it's crazy how that division is kind of played out. Everyone kind of thought it'd be a lot closer race with the Dolphins and Jets, but obviously not going their way.
Nope.
Lions continue to just be a juggernaut. Winning by 10 against a really good Packers team. The knock on the Lions is they can't play outdoors because they play in domes. Like, 14 of their 17 games this year are going to be in domes. Jared Goff has always been known to not really play well outside. Play well today, get the win. That division is going to be a tight race all the way down to the end. So that's a big game winning in division. And then my final shout out is to Nick Sirianni and Doug Peterson for having a dumb off today. Like, who could be the dumbest head coach to do the dumbest stuff? And Nick Sirianni won. He is smarter than Doug, so shout out Nick. But this guy has this play, the tush push, that works almost every time. They tried it twice today on 2 different 2-point conversions, didn't get it. A big 4th and 1 in the game later on, and he decides to go for it again. And instead of doing the tush push, he does a fake tush push and roll out pass that ends up getting a sack. And then the Jags get the ball back. And they could have lost the game there, but instead, Doug Peterson draws up a shark wheel to the 3rd string running back, jump fade pass to a 5'9" running back on a linebacker. What a play, Doug. And he even admitted it in the press conference. He said, yeah, we drew that up all week. We thought it'd be a good play for us to have Dearness Johnson out there, like I said, who's 5'9", doing a fade jump ball in the end zone. That's you got a 6'5" tight end. You have a 1st-round draft pick in Brian Thomas Jr. You could throw that pass to, but instead, 3rd string running back. That's who you throw out there. So way to go, Doug. You are an idiot. The only reason you're not going to get fired halfway through the season is because there's literally no one else on the staff who is competent enough to run an NFL team to finish the season. That's literally the only. I've looked. There's not a single person on the staff that even could get the team to the hotel on an away game. I don't think. They're all stupid. They all got to go. It's done. It's done time. Brian. Ben Johnson, let me know if you need some hookups, some restaurant recs, whatever you need. We'll figure it out for you, buddy. We'll get some real estate agents in contact for you down in Jacksonville, find you somewhere real nice to live.
There you go.
And if it's not him, Mike Vrabel would be a good secondary option for a lot of reasons.
There's our Jags rant for the day.
That was a Doug Peterson rant.
Oh, yeah. Do we have a next guy up nominee? I had one.
Ooh, who was it?
is Amon-Ra St. Brown for not a handstand, but a headstand. Have you seen this? He scored the touchdown, and he literally, there's like a picture of like, he literally like flipped up, and he's like,
I saw
straight as a
someone do this
pencil.
in like Division 2, and he got a flag thrown on him instantly.
Yeah, it was at I don't remember what school it was at.
Carson
It was
Ward in it's something Ward. Oh, what was it?
I'm like, how's that not
It
cause
sounds like a
a
jail.
Incarnate Word. Incarnate Word. That's the name of the college where the guy did it.
Sounds like a
It's
jail.
very cool. It is cool. It's pretty cool.
So that's where St. Brown got it from. Like he saw him
Probably.
do it.
Okay, well, that's news to me. I didn't know about that player, but I was like, that seems like it would break your neck, like trying to do that. But I guess like your
helmet on, it's
pads,
fine.
like rest on the helmet there. But yeah, he literally did that like perfect. I was like, man, that's how do you even do that? So
it might have to be Saquon Barkley for the backwards hurdle.
Yes, yeah.
Never seen. I didn't know that was a thing where you see someone about to tackle you from behind somehow and you hurdle them. I've never seen that.
Never.
What an impressive feat. What a awesome highlight I have to deal with for the next 3 days on Twitter. Yeah, no.
I think the 61-yard field goal, game winner.
Yeah, that's cool. But did he backwards hurdle anyone? I'd say not.
Could have.
Don't know if he's athletic enough to do that. I don't know how many players
hurdles
do that.
One of the cooler things I've seen in a long time. So I would be okay with that being the winner.
That's my nominee not my nominee, my vote. Yes, my nominee was the headstand.
I vote for it as well. I have no
Clean
problem picking things against the Jags. I bet on Barkley.
He bet against them today.
Oh man, Saquon Barkley, good at football.
Yeah, if it shows that if you just put a decent offensive line in front of a guy like Barkley, that you can really do some damage in the NFL.
Turns out
he had like 140 something all-purpose yards today, 2 touchdowns. I mean, just absolute freak of nature.
We all talked about Derrick Henry kind of having the opportunity this year to win some games and get off a bad team, but maybe Saquon Barkley should have been the conversation piece. Doing the same thing.
That's a good point.
I'm glad he's not just wasting away on the Giants right now.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I think that's a pod.
Good work, everybody.
All right. Well, we will be back on Thursday to break down some huge games. We've talked about it. There's some things are getting crazy in NFL and college, and so make sure you're back here with us on Thursday as we will break all of these games for the next upcoming weekend down. We hope you all have a great week. We will see you then.